Recording is on.
Hi, today we will be discussing child custody under family law. So we're going to start off with the definition. What is child custody? Then we're going to move on to the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Act, which has several different subtopics underneath it. The first one, we're going to find out what's the purpose of the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act. Then we'll move on to look at the initial custody determination. That is, how does the court determine custody of the child? Then we will look at exclusive continuing jurisdiction, when court may decline jurisdiction, temporary emergency jurisdiction, abandonment or abuse, enforcement of another state's order, right? And then we will look at best interest of the child standard, joint custody, counsel for child, custodial disputes between parents and their parties. You will see that I'm looking mostly in the book because I'm not extremely familiar and I don't know this area. So by virtue of making this video, I'm really, first of all, introducing myself to it and speaking about it. So I'll be teaching as we proceed so that I too can learn. Well, that was a lot to chew on. So I'm going to repeat because, again, repetition is what? The mother of all learning. So, child custody. Custody of a minor can mean legal custody, the right to make major decisions affecting the child's life. A physical custody, which is the actual possession and control of the child. Joint custody can mean either joint legal custody, joint physical custody, or both. So, in a sense, the first thing we have to recognize is that we have to make the distinction between legal custody and physical custody. Legal custody means that that parent has the right to make decisions concerning the child, whereas physical custody means that whereas physical custody means that the parent has the right to control and possession of the child. I know when you're saying control and possession of the child, you're dealing with the child as though it's a thing. The child is a thing and not a person, right? But apparently, adults have control and possession of children. The next thing we will look at is the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. The Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. So the purpose of the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act is to avoid jurisdictional disputes with courts or other states in matters of child custody and visitation, to promote interstate cooperation, and to facilitate interstate enforcement of custody and visitation. In a sense, as the name of the act suggests, it is uniform, so that it is there to facilitate cohesion between the states, you know. So the initial custody determination, the primary test, which is the home state jurisdiction. And this is very important, so you must listen up. This is very important, so you must listen up. A court has jurisdiction to initially enter or modify a child custody or visitation order if the state is the child's home state or was the child's home state within the past 6 months and the child is absent from the state, but a parent or person as the parent, sorry, acting as a parent, example guardian, continues to live in the state. A child's home state is the state in which the child lived with a parent or person acting as a parent for at least 6 consecutive months immediately before the commencement of the proceeding, or the state where the child has lived since birth if younger than 6 months, disregarding temporary absences. So, this is how we determine child custody. In a sense, a state has jurisdiction to modify or enter child custody uh, or visitation order if the state is the child's home state, right? That is where the child is living. So if Cadian is since Giovanni and Cadian are living in North Carolina, we know the home state of Giovanni. It's North Carolina. That is where Giovanni lives. What if Giovanni is no longer living in North Carolina? Was the child's we have to look at was the child's home state within the past 6 months and the child is absent from the state. So let's say DJ Nicholas and his wife live in Virginia and they have a child together there. DJ Nicholas decides that Virginia is not working for his music career, and so he wants to move to New York where it's more popping. DJ Nicholas says he's bringing his son because his son is understudying him as a DJ and wants to become DJ Nicholas Jr. So DJ Nicholas and his son moves from Virginia to New York. In this instance, what would be the home state of DJ Nicholas Jr.? Was the child's home state within the past 6 months and the child is absent from the state? Remember, DJ Nicholas's wife still lives in Virginia, right? Whereas DJ Nicholas and DJ Nicholas Jr. just this month moved into New York to permanently reside there. So you're looking at it. What they're saying is that was the child's home state within the past 6 months and the child is absent from the state, but a parent or person acting as a parent continues to live in that state. So the fact that DJ Nicholas's wife is still living in Virginia means that Virginia can still be DJ Nicholas Jr.'s home state because the elements are satisfied. What are the elements? One, Virginia would have been the home state with was the child's home state within the past 6 months. The child is now in New York, so he's absent from the state. But a parent or person acting, but because DJ Nicholas, his wife, still lives in Virginia, that means that it's his home state. It's still her home state, right? A child's home state is a state in which the child lived with a parent or a person acting as a parent for at least 6 consecutive months immediately before commencement of the proceeding, or the state where the child has lived since birth if the child is younger than 6 months old, disregarding temporary absences. So, in a sense, what they're saying here is that the home state is where the child lived 6 months before the commencement of the proceedings. The home state of the child is determined by the state where the child lived at least 6 consecutive months immediately before commencing proceedings. The home state of a child is where the child lived for at least 6 consecutive months immediately proceeding, pro- immediately before commencement of the proceeding. And if the child is younger than 6 months, it's where the child or the child has lived since birth. Praise God. Okay. All right, so that's what we have determined home state in a sense, where the child has lived 6 consecutive months before commencement of proceedings. Also, home state is referred to as where the child currently lives, right? And we said that in the term, there are two ways to determine the home state of the child. The first is to say Oh, all right, continue. All right, home state jurisdiction is the most important jurisdictional test and it is frequently tested on the bar exam, right? When home state rule does not apply, a state court jurisdiction to enter or modify a child custody or visitation order if no other state has or accepts home state jurisdiction, and the child and at least one parent or person acting as a parent have a significant connection with the state and the substantial evidence concerning the child is available in the state. In addition, a court has jurisdiction to enter or modify a child custody or visitation order if no other state has jurisdiction under another test. So, a court has jurisdiction to enter or modify visitation if no other state has or accepts home state jurisdiction, and the child and at least one parent or person acting as a parent has a significant connection with the state, and substantial evidence concerning the child is available in the state. In addition, a court has jurisdiction to enter or modify a child custody or visitation order if no other state has jurisdiction under another test. Okay. So what we're looking at is when home state rule does not apply. And what we're saying here is that a court has jurisdiction to enter or modify a child custody visitation order if no other state accepts home state jurisdiction. And the child at least and at least one parent have some significant connection. That's the word we're looking at. Significant connection with the state and substantial evidence concerning the child is available in the state. Right? Exclusive continuing jurisdiction. The court that made the initial child custody or visitation determination has exclusive continuing jurisdiction over the matter until the court determines that neither the child nor the child's parents or persons acting as parents continue to reside in the state, or the child no longer has significant connection with the state with a parent who lives in the state and substantial evidence relating to the matter is no longer available in the state. All right? Cool. When court may decline jurisdiction. A court that has jurisdiction under one of the above tests may decline to exercise its jurisdiction if it determines that it is an inconvenient forum under the circumstances and that a court in another state is a more appropriate forum. Additionally, a court may decline to exercise jurisdiction if the party seeking to invoke the court's jurisdiction has engaged in unjustifiable conduct. So, Okay, let's go. 14 minutes before. There are some significant terms that we're throwing out here. At least 6 months, 6 consecutive months, child's home state, right? Next thing is no other state has accepts home state jurisdiction and significant connection or substantial evidence, right? Exclusive jurisdiction, it continues until one of the things that we mentioned above is terminated, right? That is the court that initiated the initial custody or visitation uh, proceeding continues to have jurisdiction over the matter until the court determines that neither the child nor the parent continue to reside in the state, or the child no longer has significant connection with the state. Not going to believe it. A custody or visitation order of one state